Hello everyone. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about a very important concept, which is how to convert a simple sentence into a compound or a complex sentence, and why it is important for us to learn this particular concept at a very early age. So here is an example of a text which I feel is definitely great for a grade 1 to say a grade 2 student. And if we identify, it has only simple sentences in it. So let me read it out to you. A dog is a domestic animal. It is very faithful. It is very friendly. It has four legs. It guards our house. Now, as I see, I have just one verb in it, and that's how I'm going to infer that it's a simple sentence. These are helping verbs, as you can see, and here it's a verb. Now, uh, so this concept, I want to take it step by step, and from grade 3 and plus, kids should know about the different types of sentences. There are definitely different ways of introducing this concept by different teachers. I preferably feel that, if they're acquainted with the terminologies, even if they don't remember the names, it's going to be very useful. So the first type of sentence is simple sentence. It has one verb in it. So it definitely means it has one main clause in it. Now, clause is something that I'm going to take further down. So in the lesson today, so we'll just be following about the concepts. Now, a compound sentence is definitely a combination of two or more sentences, and it's going to have two verbs in it. That's how the child is going to identify and differentiate from a simple sentence, and would put it in the category of a compound sentence. It has two simple sentences combined. It has two main clauses in it, and it's definitely combined with the help of coordinating conjunctions. So far, in grade 1 and 2, kids, they know that they're just conjunctions, but in future grades, they're going to come across a concept of coordinating and subordinating conjunctions, and why one should know them separately, individually. So in complex sentence, coming to this one, again, they have two or more verbs in it. It's going to have at least one main clause and one or more subordinate clauses, and it's joined by a subordinating conjunctions. Now, let's talk about conjunction first, and then I'm going to brief you on the different types of conjunctions. So, but, because, although, yet, so, since, these are the different types of conjunctions that we are familiar with. Coming to coordinating conjunctions, the best way to remember them is through fanboys. And when we have to combine sentences and convert it into compound sentences, we'll have to use fanboys, which is for, and, neither, but, or, yet, so. Subordinating conjunctions, and the acronym for that is I saw a verb, and this is used to convert a sentence into complex sentence, and it has these conjunctions in it: if, since, because, although, etc. Now, what is the difference between a clause and a phrase? Now, a clause is definitely going to have a verb in it. It is built around a verb, which means it's a sentence, because the prerequisite of any sentence is that it should make sense, and it should have a verb in it. There should be a noun, and it should make complete sense. So clause is just like a sentence. I saw a rainbow. This is a simple sentence. There is a verb in it, and I'm going to put it under the category of a clause. So if I need to use a synonym for clause, I'm going to say it's a sentence. Whereas phrase is just group of two or more words. And just to brief you on that, it's going to be like after the class, it's a prepositional phrase. And if I say there's an alien and I'm describing purple and fat, these are the two set of words that I'm using. So purple and fat is an adjective phrase. So this is exactly what a phrase is. A phrase is a combination, a group of words together. Coming to main clause and the other set of clauses. So there are definitely two types of clauses. One is a main clause and the other one is a subordinate clause. So main clause means independent clause, and as the name says, it makes sense on its own. It doesn't need any other sentence to give a brief about it. On its own, it has complete sense in it. So it's an independent clause, whereas subordinate clause is a dependent clause, and it's going to depend on the main clause. So if I'm talking about myself, and if I say, I am a 19-year-old girl studying in this school, etc., and then I give any other information which is depending upon me being the first important category. So I'm going to say that when I talk about myself, I am the main clause, and any extra information that I'm adding on to my introduction, it's a subordinate clause. So it's a dependent clause. Now, let's try to understand how these sentences are combined and how a grade 1 or a grade 2 child would be writing. So this is a basic sentence written by, say, a paragraph on which is written by a 6 or a 7-year-old. 6-year-old can't write all these things, but I'm just giving you an example. So the witches added spiders, the witches added frogs, the witches spell still didn't work. So they have to combine the sentence. So since they see the verb is same here, they're going to combine it by saying, and they're making sense on its own also. These are all main clauses because they stand out alone as it is, and it's going to make sense. The witches added spiders. Okay, it makes sense. The witches added frogs, makes sense. The witches spell didn't work. Okay, so now I'm going to say the witches added spiders and frogs, but still their spell didn't work. I'm using all the coordinating conjunctions because I have to combine it to a compound sentence. And compound sentences, they have only main clauses in it. So let me give you a brief into the book that has helped me to understand this concept in depth. So let's start with conjunctions. So conjunctions are words which is used to join the sentences, and sometimes we also call it as connectives. And these are two different types of conjunctions, coordinating and subordinating conjunctions. So coordinating conjunctions are used to join the statements which stand on their own, and they are each equally important. And that's where, when we see here, goblins are noisy, fairies are quiet. They're all, both these sentences stand on their own and they make sense, even if they're not joined together. And that's the reason why I'm using, like the book has used, a coordinating conjunction. Next is the witches added frogs, the same example that I have given. So this is exactly how it has to be. So the witches added frogs and spiders, but their spell still didn't work. It's a combination of 3 sentences, and that's what we have to teach the children, that we need to avoid having a lot of sentences, and they can cut short their sentences. Kids, they have the habit of having a lot of running sentences also, and they have to taught this editing concept of how to avoid using a lot of running sentences. So each and every concept is important, and we have to take it individually. Right now we are working on this one. Now let's focus on subordinating conjunctions. So these are used when we have one main clause and the other one is a subordinate clause. I keep away from spiders, they frighten me. If I just give you these 2 sentences, I keep away from spiders, it definitely makes sense, right, on its own. They frighten me doesn't make sense on its own. So it needs the main clause that we were talking about the spiders, and that's how they are joined together. And I keep away from spiders because they frightened me. So we have used a subordinating conjunction, and again, there's another concept of identifying main clause and subordinate clause, which I'm going to take after a few pages. So let's have a look at some subordinating conjunctions. So it's although, if, when, because, unless, where. Now, these are clauses, and we have to understand what's a main clause and what's a subordinate clause. So main clause will make sense on their own. Subordinate clauses, they add extra information to your main clause. So Josie saw an alien that was bright purple. If I say Josie saw an alien, it was bright purple. It was bright purple doesn't make sense on its own. It definitely needs a main sentence, a main clause, which says that first she saw an alien and now she's describing it. So Josie saw an alien is a main clause. It's an independent clause, whereas was bright purple is a subordinate clause, or we can say it's a dependent clause. Now, spotting the subordinate clauses. So how are you going to identify which of the sentences or which of the clauses that you see are main or subordinate clause? So subordinate clause will be beginning with a subordinating conjunction, and that's the easiest way to identify. So these are the subordinating conjunctions. Let me read it out to you. Which, because, when, if, unless, that, although, where, while, until. Here they're talking about simple sentences. I'm just going to read it out and give you a brief onto it, into it. So simple sentence would have just one main clause, and if we read the first sentence, the alien smiled, and if you read the second sentence, again there is just one word, although there would be a lot of words that you see in the second sentence. But this is where the concept of teaching the child to write super sentences and interesting sentences come into play, that they have to be more descriptive about their writing. So when the child writes the alien smiled, and we'll ask them to elaborate their sentence by using the 5W rules and the house, and adding adjectives, adverbs to their sentence. That doesn't mean that you have converted a simple sentence to a complex sentence, considering the fact that complex means tough, and now the sentence looks quite complex. So that is not what the concept talks about. So the second sentence here is more descriptive, yet you will find that there is just one verb. So if there is one verb, it's a simple sentence. So the purple alien with eyes on stalks smiled at Josie in a shy yet friendly way. So these are all different words to describe the situation of, what happened when the alien smiled. Okay, I hope this important fact is going to be the main idea from whatever I'm going to talk in today's lesson. So star mark this concept, it's very important. Next, compound sentences. Compound sentences are, they will have two or more main clauses, and that's the reason why we'll be using a coordinating conjunction. So the first main clause is, the alien stayed for an hour. Josie showed him around. He returned to his spaceship. So these are the first main clause, second and third, and they're all joined by coordinating conjunctions. Now, the next is a complex sentence. So it's going to have one main clause and one or more subordinate clause, which is going to give more information about the main clause. So Josie felt sad, that's the main clause, when the alien disappeared. Now, she searched for him although she knew he had gone, because she really missed him. Now, there are three sentences, and we have joined them successfully using the subordinating conjunction. Now, the very important rule here is, when you're using subordinating conjunction, which is beginning with a conjunction, then you'll have to separate the two clauses with the comma. Although she knew he had gone, comma, she searched for him everywhere. Okay, so there's a comma here, and if I talk about using a coordinating conjunctions, you will have to see that, goblins are noisy and there is a comma before I use the coordinating conjunction. So we have to use a comma with coordinating conjunctions when it is in between two sentences. And when we are using subordinating conjunctions, we will not use a comma when it is in between two sentences. Like, I keep away from spiders because they frighten me. There is no comma there. Whereas with a coordinating conjunction, there was a comma before but, and definitely we will use a comma before and. So this is yet again another concept that there's no comma when we use and. So it depends if we are being descriptive about, say, an adjective or a noun, then we don't use a comma. For example, just a second. These are other relative clauses. Now we will be starting with this exercise, but before that, I need to explain the rule of comma to you. Now, comma. When I say bread, butter, and jam, here I'm using and as a connective, okay? But I'm not going to put a comma over here. Bread and butter, they are two different items, and definitely jam is another item, but I will not use a comma here because they're joining the nouns together. Same. I'm talking about adjectives, okay? So I'm going to say beautiful, sensible, and honest girl. Okay, so I'm not using a comma over here. There should not be any comma. Okay, but if I am joining two sentences, two clauses using and or but or whatever fanboys conjunction I'm using, there has to be a comma before these coordinating conjunctions. I hope I make sense now. The sun is shining and looks very pretty. Now you have to be very careful that it has to be two clauses, like there has to be two clauses in the sentence, and that's how you come to know with the presence of a verb. So since there are two verbs that you see, I'm going to put a comma over here. Okay. So this is a very important concept. But if I say she is sick because she was playing in rain yesterday, etc. Like, it's a very lame question, statement that I've given right now, but we have to focus on the main concept. So she is sick, and I'm not putting any comma here, okay? There's no comma here, and this is a subordinating conjunction. She is sick because she was playing in rain yesterday. Now, if I start it the other way around, I'm beginning the sentence with a subordinating conjunction, then definitely I have to use a comma to separate the two clauses, which means to separate the two sentences. Because she was playing in the rain yesterday, comma, she is sick. Okay, full stop. So I hope this makes sense to you and gives you a better clear picture about the concepts that I was talking. Usage of comma is extremely important, and a challenge that you would face is in the early years, they're going to make a lot of errors in placement of these commas. But as and how they grow and become more mature, by the time they're 12 or 13 years old, by the time they're 12 or 13 years old, they will be knowing these concepts, so they will use it mindfully. Right now, some of the kids, they're very casual about learning, but they are all perceiving everything. It's the same fundamental that when we are talking in two different languages, a child is more fluent in one, but eventually they start speaking the other language also because they were hearing it. Although they were naughty and they did not respond at that moment, but future mein they were talking in English as well as in Hindi. So just take it as a very passive learning for them, but eventually it's going to show its colors. Now here, I have asked the child in my class, like I have asked the kids in my class to segregate into simple, compound, and complex. I'm going to do right now with you too. So the first sentence has just one verb in it, so it's going to be a simple sentence. Eric loved fishing. Loved is a verb, so it's a simple sentence. Second, he went fishing every day, comma, but he never caught anything. Here we have but, which is a fanboy, which is a coordinating conjunction. So it is a compound sentence. Next, when we see, we have although he waited patiently for hours, nothing ever happened. So although is a subordinating conjunction. So this is a complex sentence. Then one day he felt a put on his string. So here the child will get confused with the presence of then, and they may say it is a complex sentence, but mind it, I see only one verb, felt. So it is a simple sentence since it has just one verb in it, and then is used as a transition verb. And if you want to know what is the shortest way to avoid using pronouns in the beginning in a sentence, because it looks really a boring sentence if you have a lot of it in the beginning. So then you can use these transition words like in the beginning, at, the end, usually, perpetually, etc., mostly, or then, firstly, secondly, so that your sentence will not begin with a pronoun, but definitely there will be a pronoun. How can you just say anything without the subject in it, right? So here, then is acting as a transition verb, transition word, and it is a simple sentence here because I see only one verb present. Next, he heaved with all his strength and he pulled out a boot. So and is there, so it's a compound sentence. When Eric realized what he had caught, comma, he was very disappointed. So this is a complex sentence since it's having the subordinating conjunction when. Now the second task is to identify the main clause and the subordinate clause. So subordinate clause will be having a subordinating conjunction before the clause, before the statement. And that's how we are going to do it in the example right now. Mira, who had trained for months, won the race. So Mira won the race is the main clause. Who had trained for months? So had trained for months is the subordinate clause. So main clause is won the race and had trained for months is the subordinate clause. We stayed at home because it was raining. So it was raining is beginning with because, which is a subordinating clause, subordinating conjunction. So it was raining is the subordinate clause. We stayed at home is the main clause. We were happy until Bernard came to stay. So Bernard came to stay is the subordinate clause because it's beginning with until. We were happy is the main clause. If the rain stops, comma, we will go out. The rain stops is the subordinate clause because it's starting with if, which is a subordinating conjunction. We will go out is the main clause. We finished the game that we were playing. Again, that we were playing. So we were playing is the subordinate clause because it's beginning with that. And we have finished the game is the main clause. So the subordinate clause is we were playing and we finished the game is the main clause. Although Kerry tried hard, she didn't win any prizes. So Kerry tried hard is the subordinate clause since it's starting with the subordinating conjunction. And the second clause is the main clause. She didn't win any prizes. So these are the exercises that we did. And now if you ask me, from where can we practice more of such questions? So I'll say the best way to do that is whenever you read a storybook or the child is reading a storybook and we want to make them more conscious and make them appreciate the writer's choice of words and sentence structures, after introducing them to the concept that I have just taught in this lesson, now when they read, they're going to be so mindful, it's going to be such a holistic learning because they're going to read, understand, appreciate what's happening in the story as well as they're going to appreciate and be more vigilant about how the sentences are structured in the story. So just pick out any paragraph and read it to them, sit and analyze. You don't need to do it every day, because I understand as mothers, we have a lot of things, and staying on track becomes very difficult. But if we do this exercise even twice or thrice, it's going to be with them. So this is one way where you can practice. And the other thing that I have asked the learners in my class to do is to go through these worksheets. So let me show you what are the worksheets that I have asked them to practice so as to reinforce the concept. So this one is Writing Fabulous Sentences and Paragraphs by Evan Moore, and it's an ebook. I've got it from their website. So it starts with complex compound sentences in a very child-friendly way, very simple way to join the sentences. And then this is beginning sentences with a clause. Now, your sentence, if it starts with a subordinating conjunction, it is definitely going to stand out. Trust me, it looks so beautiful when it is read out aloud, or when a teacher is reading. She's going to be like, how did she implement all these rules? How did the child implement all these things? So definitely it's very easy to follow. And this is the example that I have given them. Mom sees me sleeping, she will turn out my light. So if mom sees me sleeping, comma, she will turn out my light. It's a complex sentence, and it's beginning with the subordinating conjunction. So here they have a lot of examples on the same concept, very simple to do. And this is again another way where they have to practice the sentence combination techniques. So this was the first assignment. The second assignment is something that I want to show you. But before that, I want to show you combination of sentences. Now, so here, if I just zoom it for you, and if you see this particular combining many simple sentences, they were very strong and active. Their horses were strong and active. They could move rapidly. They could make long marches. And how they've combined it into one sentence with a lot of conjunctions. Okay, since they were I would say any sentence can be either made into a compound or a complex. It just depends. They have used a coordinating conjunction, so I would say they've made it into a compound sentence. So both they and their horses were very strong and active, comma, and so they could move very rapidly and make long marches. Okay, just have a look at the comma placement. All right, you would be asking me that why there is no and ke pehle, there's no comma before and I'll just give you the same reason, that if they are joining two nouns together or two adjectives together, then they're not going to put a comma before and. But it's if it is two different set of sentences which has verbs in it, only then they're going to put a comma before the coordinating conjunction. So both they and their horses were very strong and active, comma, and so they could move very rapidly and make long marches. Next, Florence Nightingale found the hospital in a very bad condition. She set to work with great courage. She soon improved it. Now let's see. Florence Nightingale found the hospital in a very bad condition, comma, but she set to work with great courage and soon improved it. Now here, I definitely see that there are two verbs, like, but set to work with great courage. She set to work, like set is a verb here, and soon improved, it is another verb. But they have not added any comma there. There must be a rule for that. I'm not aware of it, so I'm not going to dive in deep there. But for now, I think the explanations that I have given is definitely going to work with this current level. Now, there are a lot of exercises in Brennan Martin book. So there are a lot of exercises in Wren and Martin book that you're going to find. You can give those exercises to your kids to practice the conversion of simple into a compound sentence. So here he worked very hard, so his health broke down. Next is come into the garden, pick some flowers. So I'm going to combine them. Come into the garden and pick some flowers. He's poor, he's honest, he's respected. Now you have to join 3 sentences together. So definitely it means you will be having 2 conjunctions. So if I want to convert it into a complex, I will be using a subordinating conjunction. So I'll use although. Although he is poor, comma, he's honest and respected. So it's a combination of both. But here they're specifically asked to make it into a compound sentence. I'm going to say, he is poor, but honest and respected. All right. Wise men love truth, but fools shun it. Okay. So this was one thing that I really appreciated in the book. So I just thought of, in telling you about this concept. The other concept I'm definitely going to take in the later classes. Right now, they have to be thorough with this particular concept that I have just spoken about. Now, the next homework that I've given them is again an interesting one, and it talks about simple, compound, and complex sentences. This particular worksheet is from Grammar Builder by Scholastic Publication, and this is grade 4. And these are the worksheets that I have given them. It's a very, very simple, no-brainer exercise, and they can definitely practice the concept throughout this week till they see me again after 7 days. So this is on compound sentences, complex, complex, complex. That's it. So definitely I haven't provided them any exercise, or I would say on more set of examples and questions on identifying subordinate and main clause, but definitely I'm going to give these questions to them also once they have finished the previous assignments. So that's all that I wanted to cover in the video today. And the reason why I've made a separate video is because, when it's a 1.5 hour class fully recorded, it becomes absolutely difficult for someone to, fast forward it and watch it on YouTube. So that's the reason why I decided to make a separate video of the concepts that I have taught, so that any child who attended or missed, or who's not watching or enrolled under this English enrichment program, they can make the most of the concepts. So I hope you enjoyed, and you found it a very interesting and meaningful video. And if it was really insightful, I urge you to leave a comment down below so that I'll know that you've read it, since a lot of us are familiar with each other. And do like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe, as well as hit the bell button, so that whenever I upload a new video, you get a notification on your phone or a laptop, whatever you use. So thanks for watching here, guys. Have a great day ahead. Bye.